The British and the French, 1916, pick the bones clean of the dying Ottoman Empire, and Britain and France immediately go back to competing against one another. Unsurprising, right? But that's not the narrative we hear a lot. We hear about World War One and World War Two, the British and French are on the same side, as if they put their 900 years of ancient rivalry behind them. It's not the case. The Allies win World War One. Things get really bloody after that in the Middle East. What you have in the 1920s and 30s are a series of proxy wars fought between the British and the French in the Middle East. The entire Sykes-Picot Agreement, the line in the sand that cleaved the modern fault lines of the Middle East, it was built to fail. It was built to carve out spheres of influence that could be exploited by both sides. They knew what they were doing at the time. The crucial hinge happens around World War One. Naval propulsion switches from coal to oil. As long as it was coal, Britain could rely on Welsh coal mines to be completely self-sufficient. Britain doesn't have any kind of natural gas. They find oil in northern Iraq. The problem is the oil's in the French zone, north of that dividing line. So this is where problems start to arise. We talk about corporate imperialism, right? This is when you see the line starting to blend. You have the Anglo-Persian Oil Company, which was in Iran at the time. Iran was kind of Britain's oil stronghold at the time. So what you see is you see British companies starting to penetrate that market across the border from Iran, which is starting to irritate the French, obviously. How do the French respond? They start whipping up tension in British protectorates in the Levant. The Levant is basically that term for the Eastern Mediterranean seaboard, Syria, Lebanon, Palestine, and Jordan. What happens is you have these Arab movements that want national self-determination on both sides of the British-French divide. Each power is supporting these insurgencies to try to run the other out. The British, since Lawrence of Arabia, have dreamt of having this pan-Arab state where they would have these client kings. Prince Faisal, who was Lawrence of Arabia's ally in the campaigns against the Ottomans in the desert, ends up becoming the British client king of Iraq. And his brother is also on the throne in Jordan. So what you have is these puppet regimes being put up by these imperial powers. How do the French respond to these British attempts to inspire Arab revolts to run them out of Syria and Palestine? They start funding the Zionists. And this really takes off in World War II. The rise of the Nazis obviously exacerbates attempts by Jewish people to enter Palestine. Naturally, they're fleeing the Nazis. So the French weaponize this. And they turn this into an international crisis. British ships turn away Jewish refugees. This turns into a crisis when the horrors of the Holocaust come out, that it seems the British aren't being sensitive to the plight of the Jewish people. The French, they start channeling funds and arms into the Irgun and the Stern Gang, which are Zionist nationalist movements that are engaged in a terrorist campaign to run the British out of Palestine. Now, that is not me putting a value judgment on it. It was a terror campaign. British soldiers are fighting and dying in droves to liberate Paris, and the French are funding Zionist terrorists to run the British out of Palestine. With allies like that, who needs enemies?